Alrighty. Good morning, everyone. It's almost the afternoon. Today is a new year. It's a 2023 first podcast of the year. It was a little bumpy getting started today. We have a great episode, though. We're going to be talking with Camille. I want to try to say her last name, but I will allow her to say her last name for herself because I know that I'm going to butcher it. But I'll tell you what I want to say in my brain. My brain wants to say Saskatchewan, but it's not that. It's definitely not that. But yeah, so we got a great show. We're going to be talking about her company, Cajun Acres Hydroponic Greenhouse. And if you don't know what a hydroponic greenhouse is, you're about to learn. So stick with us, and you're watching The Tea. Alrighty, Camille. So I want to go ahead and allow you to introduce yourself, and I want to hear your last name so that I know how to pronounce it correctly. Because I got your first name how it needs to be, but go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know who you are in a short summary, and then we'll kind of dive in a little deeper.
Sure. Camille Schuneman.
Schuneman, okay.
Yes, I married a Yankee. It's definitely not a common name. Don't worry, you're not the first to butcher that one. But yeah, I'm a female hydroponic farmer, which both of those I feel like bring a solid amount of questions. When I tell people a female farmer is not normal, and I'm normally wearing a dress and boots, and don't necessarily look like your traditional farmer. And then hydroponic farming, bless their hearts, most people down here think that means weed. And
right.
That is not. I mean, it can be, and maybe one day. But currently, that is not something I am farming at the moment.
Okay, cool. Well, Schuneman?
Schuneman.
Schuneman.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, so hydroponic, I think you said it for me, and a lot of people, including myself, when I first saw the name hydroponic, and I don't even know if it was in relation to your business, I just think in general, was my first thought was like, it's marijuana.
Of course. Because
the term, the other word in it, the ponic side of it, not hydro, because I know what hydro is water, but the part that says ponic sounds a lot like chronic.
Right.
So and that was my kind of thinking there, and I don't know if that is other people's kind of line of thinking, but so I have a definition of what hydroponic is, and I'll go ahead and pull that up on the screen so our watchers can see it for themselves. And if you're listening, I'm going to read it out for you. And there is a word in there that I'm going to try to pronounce, and I'm probably going to butcher it. So, okay. So hydroponics is a type of horticulture and a subset of hydroculture, which involves growing plants, usually crops and or medicinal plants, aka I guess marijuana, yes, without soil, by using water-based mineral nutrient solutions in aqueous solvents. I think I said that right. There's probably going to be some people that are going to be like, oh no, it's this way. But anyway, so you see that there. So yeah, hydroponic is farming without dirt.
Right. We're dirt free.
How? How does that work?
Hydroponic actually means working water. So we are dirt free, which people just don't understand. And then when they do think a lot of people do get the misconception that we have fish, and that's aquaponics. I just think water is cleaner than fish. I know fish filter in their own little way, but I knew if I wanted to do this, clean farming, why not go as clean as you can get?
Right.
I personally just think the water is the cleaner part. But it's so cool. So there's two different systems. There's an NFT system, which is a nutrient film.
Oh, you said NFT. I was about to say, what are you talking about? Like the blockchain and all that good stuff? Non-fungible tokens.
Then there's a bucket system. So we actually do both. The NFT system, basically they look like gutters, and they're all stacked out on tables, and there's little bitty holes in them all. I have two different kinds. There's a kind called a nursery channel, which has 72 holes in it. and that holds 72 plants. And then after they get a little bit bigger, they move into finishing channels. And those, they just have more room for them to grow. But the cool thing is they're in these little squares called oasis. And it's like it's just a little media. They're very similar to if you're sticking like flowers into one of those big foam blocks,
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm showing the pictures of that right now.
Yes.
My first thought is, first off, my mouth started watering and I was like, I want a pedophore so bad.
Oh my gosh.
That's what it looks like.
That's funny. See, I'm more of the vanilla girl. I would have never thought pedophore.
Right.
But so that actually holds the plant. That picture you have is a baby basil plant. And those get some huge, crazy roots. And those move into the different channels, and that gets watered 24/7. So the roots will overtake that little brown square, and all you see are these giant, some of the roots I pulled out when I harvested earlier this week were like 2 foot long. They're huge. And so they're just being watered with nutrients 24/7. So they're growing so fast and so efficiently. I don't know how much you know about plants, but you're really never supposed to water the foliage. So the roots are what need the water, right. Not the pretty leaves or anything like that. So this just takes out any part of that, randomness that, the water is getting where it's not supposed to be. And it's just going right to the source of where it needs to be.
So I think most people could kind of attest to this because not all of us have this perfect green thumb. We think we know how to water.
I kill a lot of stuff. Houseplants, ooh, those rotate quick in my house.
But that's funny. You coming from being a farmer, and you say that you kill stuff, but you don't kill your lettuce.
No, I try my hardest to not.
But so whenever I water my plants, I don't farm. I just have a garden in front of my house, and I put the hose on the little sprayer thing, and I just hold it above it. Yep. And I do kind of stick the hose kind of like beyond the surface level of the foliage and let the water kind of get to the soil, because I know that's where it's supposed to go.
Right.
But it makes me feel good to put water on the leaves. I'm like, y'all are thirsty.
Yeah.
Here's some water.
That's funny. Well, think about it. If you were thirsty, would you just spray yourself with water? Or would you
You're right.
Would you drink it?
I know you expect oh yeah, my skin's gonna soak it in, but it doesn't.
Right.
Not in that way.
Right. No, that root's definitely where it's supposed to be, which is just such a cool thing. I have a huge garden too. Not this year. This year it's scary looking. But my dad's a horticulturist, and they have their own plant business. So I grew up in a greenhouse. So it's in the family. It's in the family. I do rotate houseplants a little more frequently than I would like to attest to. But, we grew up taking care of plants, and really not just taking care of plants, but learning how valuable they are to our livelihood, indoor plants with breathing and air control and quality, things like that. And then having a garden and learning how to provide for yourself and the importance of clean food. And, there's so many different aspects there, from health and wellness to nurturing and, responsibilities. Yeah.
Well, we have a couple of comments real quick. I think a Rushi Marshall says it's the best way to grow.
Yes.
And then Dana Ardwan says, "Hey, Camille."
Hello.
So, okay, I want to know, going back to the soilless idea, why would dirt be bad?
Dirt's not bad. Okay. I love dirt. We're a full farm. We recently just got rid of our cattles. I have a huge compost pile. I love dirt. I have 2 boys. I have to have a certain love for dirt.
Right.
But our world we're not getting more land, and you just have to work smarter. We talked about that earlier, work smarter, not harder. And this is just, when you have a new problem, you need to think of new solutions. And so this isn't necessarily a new thing. Hydroponic farming started in the 1970s. And we're just running out of land and space. And as we grow and develop, I feel like it's the new wave farm. Like I said, it's not that new, but with our technology and stuff we have these days, it makes so much more sense. I use 1/6 of the fertilizer that a regular farmer would use, and I use 1/10 of the water, which sounds crazy to me because I'm watering 24/7. But it's so cool to know that, and the maintenance, there's a ton of maintenance, but being in a greenhouse, it's climate controlled, and I do have a better control of bugs. I harvest well over 100 pounds of lettuce a week.
100 pounds.
Yes. And it's crazy. But it's just a smarter, more innovative way, to farm. And no, everything won't grow hydroponically. I think we still need farmers for sure who work the land. And like I said, I don't think dirt is bad. But our chemical exposure, those toxins that get in the ground from, everything from when they come spray your mosquitoes down to, Roundup, that's growing in your plants when you're growing it, And so our soil becomes contaminated, which, like I said, I don't think is, not all soil is awful, but our soil is getting more and more contaminated. And to be a cleaner society, we have to think of cleaner ways to do things.
Okay, so I have a question about the lower water consumption. How are you using less water, but 24/7?
Right.
How are you doing that?
The first time I read that statistic, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, seems a little right. hard to wrap your head around.
It does. So I have a well in our backyard.
Okay.
And all the water gets filtered, and then it goes into the greenhouse where it gets filtered again. And then it runs, and I have a 500-gallon tank buried in the back of the greenhouse. So that gets filled, and then I have 3 different things that are pumped into it. 2 are a liquid nutrient, and 1 is an acid to balance pH. That water is then it goes into the greenhouse and up to the channels, and they're running. Once it hits the bottom of the channel, it goes back down and back into the 500-gallon tank. So yes, waters are being absorbed into the plants, but it's being recycled as well.
Okay, so the plants don't just sit in the water stagnantly.
No, the water is constantly flowing.
Running.
I had so many people worried about me for the freeze, which I loved, and that just made me feel wonderful. But the water's moving 24/7. It's always running.
Wow. And so I'm guessing plants are just an amazing, feat of nature, but like as the water passes by the roots just like, hey, this nutrient's mine. I'll grab this while you're flowing past me. How
yes,
it's crazy.
It's sucking up what they need for sure.
And so whenever it's recycled back through, is the same nutrient that you've poured into it there? Because I wouldn't assume that all the plants grab every single bit.
Right. No. And so there's that's another really cool part of this whole system. There's an auto doser in the back. So it's the brain of the greenhouse. It's wonderful. The nutrients, the 2 different nutrients and the acid are all in a timer and a feeder tube. And so they're regularly pull and rebalance what it needs in the tank. And that's all monitored. It's all automatic. I can go mess with it, of course, but it reads the different levels and brings it into balance when it needs to be.
All right, so an auto doser. Like that's fancy. Like this is fancy stuff.
We call it Fancy Farms. My friend Sam named us that.
Okay, so we have all the channel. Now the channels, that's where the roots sit, correct? And the actual foliage, the leaves part, never get wet?
They don't.
Oh, wow, man, it's just so crazy. Like, I just imagined like misters on top, like raining on the plants.
Sure.
But that's not the right way to do it.
This is not for hydroponics. There are plenty of greenhouses that have that system, and it's great. Hydroponics is just a whole different animal. Yeah, just the roots need it.
Okay, so you said you produce 100 pounds of lettuce a week?
Yes, it's more than 100. Yeah.
Okay, tell me how you do that, because that sounds like a lot. Is it whole heads? Are you chopping and letting the heads regrow?
No, they are just a one-time harvest thing. Okay, so I plant, and I have a whole propagation room in the front. And I plant in these little oases. I leave them covered for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. It depends on the weather and the temperature and all of those things. And once I feel like they're germinated, which you can see, you put a seed in there and then you see green coming up, I take them off and I take the covers off, and they sit under a propagation light, a little grow light. and they sit in there for 2 weeks. And when they get really big, a little bit bigger, I put them in those nursery channels in the main greenhouse. And then 2 weeks after that, I move them to the finishing channels. So from seed to harvest is anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. Ideally 6. Sometimes if it's really cloudy or cold, things like that, they need 7 or 8. And so then when I harvest them, I take the whole channel out and I bring it to the front of the greenhouse. And then you pull each one up. And you squeeze, I would have to tell everybody, like, don't squeeze it like you're trying to kill it. Just, you're wringing the water out, the excess water. And I rip off any of the roots hanging because they're not necessarily needed. And I don't want to it messes up the weight and stuff like that. And then I weigh them all and they're good to go. But even though I rip off the majority of the roots, there are some roots still there. And a lot of my customers from the farmer's market like to just go home and put them in a mason jar of water on their counter, and it'll stay alive. So, I mean, not for a month, but a couple weeks for sure.
So I'm guessing kind of like green onions. When you buy green onions from the grocery store, you put them in a jar after you cut what you want. You put them in a jar and they grow a little bit more.
Yes.
So does that happen?
Well, now this won't grow anymore.
Okay.
I have had a couple people, come tell me like, man, I planted them again and they didn't grow and I'm going to try again. And I'm like, oh, it's not how it works.
Okay. Like that's a good point. Like, why doesn't that work? Why can't I just take the roots and be like, hey, put you back right here?
Well, it's grown, not every plant does that.
Okay.
Majority of lettuces, some lettuce in the ground you can, but what you'll even find, even when I used to have a big lettuce crop in the ground, once you cut it, the second time you harvest it, it's more bitter. It's not the same, it's just it tastes different. And these heads of lettuce are just stunning, and they're hard to beat.
Okay. Well, before we go too much farther, I want to go ahead and get my sponsors mentioned here. So, even though it's a new year, we have one of our consistent and dedicated sponsors who we love. It's the Music Academy of Acadiana. So they are Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. So if you are a youngin' or if you're an oldin', and if you want to get started in music, the Music Academy has your back on that. They teach students of all ages and styles with piano, guitar, voice, drums, violin, saxophone. You can learn audio production. They've even sent students to college. So it's a great local company founded locally by Tim Benson, who is a UL Lafayette music school graduate. And he's also in, I think, a couple of bands. He has another company, but one of the bands he just started with some friends is called The Criers. And it's an emo cover band. Emo in the sense of the from the 2000s to the 2008 2009 era.
That's
like
awesome.
Like the My Chemical Romance kind of vibe. So they have a band, but so he runs that. He has a great staff. They have about 500 students, or probably more now. This is probably a year ago since I've toured the place, and they have about a little over 500 students flowing in and out. So great local company. Their website is musicacademyacadiana.com. You see it on your screen. Ultimately, their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. And then our next sponsor is not a new sponsor to Developing Lafayette, but a new sponsor to the podcast. And you can see that evidence with our rough making of this slide because we haven't had the ability to clean it up. But their logo, you'll see it. It's Chase Group Construction, and their website is chasegroupconstruction.com. Chase Group is a local general contractor and land developer that specializes in planning and design and construction as a design build company. They combine the cost awareness of a contractor who knows current market pricing and materials and labor and all that good stuff with the design process of an architect all in one company. So they utilize the latest advanced technology and GPS surveying equipment, which is fancy stuff, automated scheduling programs, and cloud-based project management software to help make sure that the project goes according to plan and on budget. They even go beyond construction by leading traffic studies, soil reports, zoning requirements. They do all that stuff. And they're a great local company, also founded locally by Chase Landry. Their tagline is Dream, Design, Develop. because they are a design build company. You can check them out at their website, like I just mentioned, is chasegroupconstruction.com. And so we really appreciate our sponsors. And back to the conversation with Camille here. Okay, so I wanted to go back to the lettuce thing here before we go into where your lettuce goes. Who buys your lettuce? Where can people taste your lettuce? Because you don't sell to grocery stores, correct?
No, I don't. I did for a little while, and it's just a different kind of market I'm just not ready to be in. It takes a lot more time, and everything has to be absolutely exquisite and packaged in a clamshell. And I'm a perfectionist, so that took me, a little bit of time. I needed only the absolute most perfect heads ever to put in, and that's just hard. This is my full-time job, and it is so fun. But I'm also a mom, and that's definitely first, and I can't be stressed out about packing a head of lettuce when I'm trying to also figure out how to do second grade homework,
Yeah. So you're a farm to table type of farm.
Yes, absolutely. My favorite place to be, honestly, is the farmer's market on Saturdays, though. Just that personal interaction and those returning customers.
Yeah.
It's the most beautiful thing. I
Just
love
buying heads of lettuce.
Yes. Lafayette is unlike any other about people supporting people.
Yeah, that is extremely true. All right. So what kind of lettuce? There's all kinds of different lettuce. You have iceberg. You have there's like this one butter. Is it butter iceberg?
Iceberg is
butter
bad.
lettuce.
Butter lettuce, yeah.
And then you have romaine.
Yeah.
Okay, you just said iceberg is bad.
Yes.
Okay. Look, that's a controversial statement. Why is iceberg bad?
Personally, I feel like iceberg is when you say you want to eat a salad, but you really don't want like nutrients from it. You just want hey, I got a salad. An iceberg salad, you probably have like a lot of croutons and like bacon and
Right.
Just a little,
it's an Olive Garden salad.
Yes. A couple breadsticks. I mean, delicious, but not the healthiest choice you can make.
God, okay, so I guess iceberg is bad. Iceberg is there's no nutrients in iceberg. It's literally just water, right?
There is. I'm sure there's nutrients in iceberg.
Probably minute.
There you go. You said it now.
Okay, I know you're not going to be the one to held accountable for that. Butter lettuce though, isn't that a little bit better?
We grow butter lettuce, so I'm definitely going to be like, absolutely, it's the best.
But it's prettier. It's smoother looking.
Beautiful, yes. One of my chefs said it's butter lettuce because it's smooth like butter. And I don't know if that's how they got the name or what, but that was like one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And it is. It's beautiful. It's smooth. It's very versatile. He said you can't offend anybody with it. Like, it's just easy. Everyone loves it, and a lot of people use it for shrimp wraps or sandwiches or, cut up in a salad. It's just an easy going lettuce.
So I remember I went to a local restaurant in Youngsville. I was helping them with their social media, and I went over there to eat lunch, and I got a burger. And I love a good burger, and especially when it's got good dark green lettuce. Yeah. And I'm talking about I like the romaine stuff, but not everybody uses romaine. But this was the first time, and I've eaten tons of lettuce. Not to say I'm a vegetable fanatic, but I know that romaine's really good because it's dark and very green, high in antioxidants, I'm sure. But this burger had this nice, smooth, like silky, arched piece of lettuce on it, and I looked at it and I'm like, this is not lettuce. I'm like, what is this? And I thought it was an oversized spinach leaf.
Oh my gosh.
That's
so funny.
my complete lack of knowledge of what different lettuces are. I was like, this looks like a big spinach leaf. Like, why is there spinach on this burger?
Oh my gosh.
So without even questioning it, I said, you know what? Let me just take a bite. And I was like, it's good, but I don't really, it's not something you taste necessarily when you eat something with any kind of lettuce. I mean, it's kind of just I would say a filler. In most cases, it's a filler. But with romaine, you can definitely taste it. There's a distinct flavor. But I was like, it's it's good. It has a good texture in your mouth, like the buttery. It feels kind of buttery in your mouth. But I remember that one burger only because of that butter leaf.
Funny.
Like
that is so funny. Yeah. I have a solid amount of people who will randomly text me. A girl did yesterday, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'm eating here. This has to be your lettuce. Like I can taste the difference," and it's so funny. And it's one of the weirdest things I tell people at market who are like first time customers. Like, have you ever had hydroponic lettuce? It's different. It is. And it's so weird to explain. And I really can't. I'm like, just try it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
But it's lighter and cleaner and crispier. And it does have a good flavor, but like an easygoing flavor, not like, oh my God, wow. Like in a bad way. It's not overpowering, but it's definitely different.
Okay. So at the farmer's market, if somebody wants to go buy a head of lettuce. Now, is it only butter lettuce that you grow?
No, I grow a variety of different things. I grow kale, I grow basil, butter lettuce, red oak leaf. I do grow romaine, and I'm about to start growing arugula again. Just different. Arugula attracts a bug like no other, and I just don't have time for that. But I do. And we also grow peppers and tomatoes. That never really made it out to the market because my children and my husband and myself eat it all.
Nice.
And we grow like a sweet crisp frisee too. That's one of our other most popular.
What is that?
It's like arugula, but it's not as potent.
Okay.
Because you either love or hate arugula. Like there's no in between. There's nobody who ever says
arugula,
like, it's okay.
It's not like large and flat, right? It kind of looks like almost like a dandelion.
Well, there's some different varieties there. Some of the leaves we had were huge, and it's just bitter and I would say spicy. It's got that kick to it.
Okay.
But the sweet crisp we grow is like a frisee, and Pamplona downtown uses it on top of their carpaccio, and it is amazing. It's so good, and it has that kick to it, but not as overpowering as arugula. Like it's a perfect mixer to a salad too.
Okay, so you grow a variety of different lettuce and other plants, not just lettuce, because you said basil and of course arugula, and then what was
kale?
Yeah, kale. I mean, kale's an interesting one. I mean, you can make chips with it, which is wild.
And it's a different kind of kale too. We grow a celebration kale, so it's like pretty different colors.
Okay. It's almost like what's that tomato? Heirloom-ish.
Yeah. Different kinds of stuff, for sure. Different looking, we like.
Yeah.
But this kale is amazing, and honestly, I can't keep up with it. Like it's sold before I ever even harvest it. I rarely get to bring it to market. It all goes to Scratch Kitchen downtown too.
Wow, because Scratch, they're not far from you, right?
No, they're not too farms? Far. No, and they use all of our red oak and all of our kale.
Nice.
And sprouts, we do sprouts for them as well.
Doesn't that like go on burgers sometimes? Yeah,
or
I
like other sprouts on everything. Yeah. Eggs, sandwiches, burgers, wraps.
Yeah.
Anything I can add a little green to, I am.
And you got a green dress on. What a crazy. Okay, you're like totally fitting the vibe of your business. All right, so back to what I was getting with the farmer's market. If somebody wants to buy, let's say I'm curious as someone who's probably like, let's say somebody's watching that's never had a butter lettuce before, and maybe they only know is iceberg and romaine. Maybe they want to try butter lettuce, and if they want to go to the farmer's market and buy a head of butter lettuce, how much are you charging for that, and what is the difference in price? Let's say somebody wants to go buy. Let's say butter lettuce is available at Rouse's or wherever.
It is.
Okay, so what is the price difference there?
So I'm pretty competitive with their price. We're pretty similar. It's an extreme difference. I will say that. I shop at Rouse's all the time. That's it. But their lettuce is different. It comes from California. And that's where the majority of our nation's lettuce come from, which is interesting. California.
It's got to travel all the way.
So yes. So when you're buying lettuce from me at the farmer's market, I harvested it like 2 days ago. Like it's so fresh. It's from this week. So by the time something gets here from California, it's different.
Yeah.
And then you have that time frame as well, which makes your plants more susceptible to bugs. My lettuces, it's all $5 a head. They're huge. And I do it in a couple of different ways. I sell them by the head, and then I'll even chop off the bottoms and mix all three of the varieties that I bring to market together in a little container. a lot of people are first time buyers and they're like, I don't know, the roots scare me, having to chop the bottom off of something, like, I don't know. So I do the bagged, the prepackaged mixes, and people love it. Okay. And then you get a little bit of everything too. And those are only $8 for no reason at all. They should be more expensive. I just don't like to charge people a lot. I just want everyone to have it.
All right. So let's say money wasn't an issue. Like, if you could ideally charge what you wanted to charge, obviously not $1 million per head, but
right.
What would be your ideal price range to make a head of lettuce work well for you? I don't want to say profitable. Right. I would assume that you make profit.
I'm pretty comfortable with where we are, and it's given me a lot of. I have a lot of really great opportunities to give back to our community and bless others, because as anyone who knows, especially this week, who people are trying to eat healthy,
Yeah, right.
What you can go get at McDonald's for $10 is going to be totally different than what you can go get at a health food store for $10. It's hard to eat healthy. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, being a local farmer, I want to help those who can't. We like to give to St. Joseph's Diner. We're always filling the Lafayette community fridges. When they do plate lunches too, we supply for that. And I don't think my lettuce is expensive, but I know it's not cheap. But like I said, it does give me the opportunity to give back to our community. And I think that's just one of the biggest blessings out of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like I said, people supporting people,
Great response there. You didn't go straight to like, oh, I wish I could charge $20. Like, yeah, you're going whole food on us here. All right. So now I want to know, I've seen your Facebook page. You don't have a website yet, just on Facebook and I think Instagram, right?
Yes.
Okay. While we're on that topic, tell people where they can follow you. Like, how do they find you?
Cajun Acres on Instagram. Let me double check that. I'm pretty sure. And Cajun Acres Hydroponics on Facebook. Yes. Cajun Acres on Instagram. Yes.
Awesome. And Cajun Acres Hydroponics on Facebook.
Yes.
All right. So if you're listening and or watching, you want to look her up and look the business up, you can. So going back to that, I've seen photos of you holding a head of lettuce in front or at a restaurant. I mean, a lot of them are in downtown. So who all utilizes your hydroponically grown vegetation?
I would like to say the smartest of the smart. All my personal favorite places. It's been really cool to go to new restaurants, because now that's the only places, like, my husband and I go out for date night. I'm like, we have to go eat my lettuce somewhere. But you'll find us at Scratch downtown in Pamplona, as well as Spoonbill, Mercy Kitchen. I know Taco Sisters is running an amazing special. That's where I'm going when I leave here. An amazing special with our lettuce this week.
So what are they doing with your lettuce there?
They're phenomenal. They don't use our
lettuce. No, I love
all
Taco
the
Sisters.
time.
We go probably at least once a week, sometimes twice a week.
Right. Of course. I don't blame you. I don't think this is my first time there this week. They do specials when they use our lettuce. It's for a special. Okay. So right now they have an amazing shrimp something. It's got purple onions on it, which I hate onions, and I licked them off the plate. Like, I could not eat them enough. They do so much good stuff, but it's like a special shrimp wrap this week. It's got some crazy name. I definitely couldn't say it. It starts with a B.
So they're not using the lettuce as the wrapping vessel.
They are, yes.
Okay. So instead of like a tortilla.
Right. It's like a lettuce wrap taco type situation.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
See, so whenever I go to Taco Sisters, I go with a friend of mine, the guy that before we went on live, I tell you, I eat lunch with one of my coworkers every week. My prior coworkers, sorry, because I work alone pretty much here. And so one of our favorite places to go eat, I say like we're married. My wife makes fun of me. She goes, "Oh, you're going out with your boyfriend?" I'm like, "It's just a friend that I used to work with."
It's my work husband. It's very different.
Oh, yes, right. So my wife and his wife make fun of us. And so we joke back. But anyway, so he goes to Taco Sisters a whole lot more than I realized. I've just started realizing he goes so much that his points accrue because they have a point system. They've had like the little punch cards, and I used to fill the punch card pretty quickly, but he would always lap me in his punch card punches. And I'm like, Nick, like, how often do you come here? He goes, well, I came here yesterday, and then a couple of days before that. I'm like, and then we walk in, and prior to this week, they never knew my name.
Oh my gosh.
But I've been going there for over a year, like pretty religiously every week with them because we have our rotation of a couple of restaurants that we go to each week.
Of course.
And he walks in, he gets the red carpet. They know his name. They pretty much know his order. And he's probably listening right now, probably scoffing at me like, oh, man. But they know, they recognize him. And I'm like, Nick, I come here with you. Every time you come here.
No.
And he goes, well, I come more than you think. I'm like, okay, so apparently I need to figure out how to like let these guys know that, hey, I have a name. And so it was probably a couple weeks ago because it's Christmas holidays and all that. And I told him my name and all that good stuff. And then this week, it was earlier this week, I think it was Monday or it might have been Monday.
I was there Monday.
Wow. So, and I think we went late. I don't know. Anyway, I can go down a rabbit hole. But so I walk in this week and the guy, I forget his name. It's only a couple of guys there. But we walk in and he goes, Ben? I'm like, yes. You've
made it.
I feel like a regular now, even though I have been a regular.
That's so funny.
So, and then of course he knew Nick's name. There you go.
But
Nick.
It's those local places that have that fresh ingredients,
right.
you know? I mean, if you've ever ate at Scratch, it's like a no-brainer, you know? I mean, you're going to go back. It's no doubt. And same with Spoonbill. We went earlier this week as well and had, their butter lettuce salad. I laugh because it's all I ever order.
Because it's yours.
But I could drink whatever, people tell me like, oh, I'm obsessed with their butter lettuce salad. I'm like, it's the dressing. It's the dressing. Like, I swear. And they're like, no, it's the lettuce. I'm like, I don't know. I think it's the dressing.
Yeah.
And same with Mercy Kitchen does these. We started making them at home. These shrimp lettuce wraps. And it's got like a pico on it and then like some secret sauce. And I'm like, it's unreal, you know? So I think that's too a really cool thing about Lafayette as well. It's a lot of businesses who want farm to table and they want that local food.
Yep.
And you taste the difference. And like you said with Taco Sisters, once you go, you're hooked, you know, when you can taste the difference of fresh ingredients.
So I'm giving a lot to Taco Sisters right now, and this is not sponsored. So I like to try to eat on a budget.
Of course.
And what I mean by budget is like $10 or less. I try to do that. It's hard, very hard, especially now.
Yeah.
It was hard 5 years ago. It's even harder now. So, but thankfully, Taco Sisters, my wife had turned me on to because they used to have they have a taco truck or food truck. They used to go to LHC, and ever since LHC expanded, they don't have food trucks anymore because they have a food court.
Oh, okay.
They have a cafeteria where Brodus Burgers, the owner there, he does all the food, and so it's really nice. But anyway, going back to Taco Sisters, they have a burrito, a small version of their burrito, and
I just had it Monday for the first time.
Is it the Bandito?
Yes.
Let me tell you.
I was shook.
Yeah.
That's literally what I want to go get today.
That's all I get. Every once in a while, I'll get like the taco. But let me tell you, over the past, it's been 10 years, I've been actively trying to eat smaller portions. And I've done pretty good. Like I can eat people look at me like, that's all you're going to have? I'm like, yeah, I'm good with it. Yeah. I drink a lot of liquids too.
Yeah.
So once my wife told me about the Bandito, I said, I'm gonna have to go try it. Yeah. So I went and I found it on the menu, and at the time it was $3.50. Up until like 2 weeks ago, they brought it up, I think, to $3.65.
Yeah.
Only 15 cents,
right.
But still, they have to go up. And I was like, $3.50? Like, that is an amazing price.
Right.
It doesn't include a drink or anything like that, but I'm like,
for sure.
Okay.
They do use our basil in their basil ginger lemonade, and it is amazing.
I've never had it. I get the sweet
ginger,
tea.
If you like ginger, you should try it.
Okay. I'm going to have to try it. See, now I want to try stuff where your stuff is going, because now I'm like, okay, where's this butter lettuce going? Okay, so yeah, taco sisters, the bandito, I get a fountain drink or like a tea, and after about taxes and everything, it's about almost $7, like 6 and change, and I tip whatever the 15, 18, 20%, whichever one, depending on if they say my name. If they say my name, 20%.
I'm very good friends with the owners, and I can't wait to call her and be like, you need to go listen to this.
Yeah. But I love Taco Sisters. They have great, and they also use local meat.
Yeah.
Coastal Plains Meat Company. I think I said that right. I had them on the podcast last year. They are locally sourced ground beef or just beef product in general.
Yeah.
They have a facility in Eunice, and so they have their meat there. And I think throughout there's like a ton of local restaurants that have their meat. Like they've hit the ground running. Ground meat running.
Whoa, I'm all for a good pun. That's one of my other favorite things about the farmers market is it's so easy to find clean food.
Yeah.
You know, you have lettuce, you have so many different vegetable vendors, you have so many different clean meat vendors. I didn't even realize it, honestly. I mean, we've gone to the farmers market every Saturday for years. And starting working there, I'm like, wow, I've never seen you. Like, I didn't realize I could get this here too, you know, honey, and then foods to eat. You know, I eat breakfast and lunch there and normally another snack too. But there's so many, they make it really easy to have healthier options.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a loaded place for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so of course you said Spoonbill, Scratch Kitchen, Mercy Kitchen. I feel like everybody has the word kitchen in their
Right?
name. So is that all of the places? I mean, you do 100 pounds a week of lettuce by itself, and that's not everything, or is it 100 pounds a week of total product?
Lettuce. That's pretty much lettuce.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's majority lettuce. But man, so all that 100 pounds goes to just mainly those restaurants?
Yeah, keep eating, Lafayette.
Wow, that is crazy.
It is, and it's great, and it's also good to see, you know, how many people appreciate that good, clean food that we are able to go through so much.
So before we go, we're at about 42 minutes here. What does the future look like for Cajun Acres? Like, what's the growth strategy?
Yeah.
Speaking of growing,
Well, I'm very lucky with that, in that whole aspect. This business started with, I bought it from my fake uncle. He was my dad's best friend growing up. I mean, our families had vacation houses together. He knows more of my family than I ever will. But I bought his business and I kind of joked about it at the farmer's market. And I was like, you know, we had started to build a greenhouse and it got messed up by a storm. And I was like, hold on, like back up. You know, we had so many other things that were damaged. The greenhouse is the last of my worries, you know? And so I kind of just joked with him and I was like, sell me your business. And he's like, all right, you know, whatever. I've been thinking about retiring again. And that was kind of the end of it. And then later on, he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, yes, but you're rich and I'm poor. Like, we're different. Like, I know what this, I know, I've looked into this. Like, this is insane. And he just kind of laughed, whatever. And later on that day, he texted me and was like, are you home? I'm coming over. And he had laid out everything on the table. He was a retired engineer, so it was extremely detailed. Startup costs, labor costs. You know, he did have, I think there were like 4 employees. And me, it's just me. I just hired my first employee for 2 hours on Monday.
Wow,
so it's
congrats,
a big deal.
Yeah.
But my point in all of that is, I kind of told my husband, like, hey, I want to buy this business. And he's like, cool, let's do it. It took him 6 months to build it, and originally, and it took us about 6 weeks to tear it down and build it at my home. Wow. And we expanded it largely. It's taller, it's longer, it has a whole propagation room in the front. And so I'm beyond grateful with a just insanely supportive husband. So with that being said, I bought a second greenhouse. I told him, you know, don't you wish you had a wife who like had a couple glasses of wine and Amazon Primed? I'm like, hey, look, I bought another business. And recently I bought a third greenhouse.
Wow.
So the second one is fully built. It's not 100% operational on the inside just yet.
Okay.
And hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll be pouring the cement for the third greenhouse and making that one come. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think, and it's scary, you know, but like I said, when I bought the business originally, I didn't have the time to even think like, okay, do I really want to do this? Should I go for it? I was like, yeah, let's go. And my whole business has just been like spontaneous blessing after blessing. Like, hey, here you go. Keep going.
So this is your full-time job?
It is, yes.
Okay. And what does your husband do?
He works for Acadiana Dodge.
Okay.
Or Acadiana Automotive Group. Yeah.
All right. So with the third greenhouse in the process, the second one's not fully operational yet.
Almost. Very close.
So you're going to have 3 total greenhouses, and I'm going to assume that sounds like 3 times the production. So instead of 100 pounds of lettuce, you might have 300 to 400 pounds of lettuce. That's a lot.
It is.
And just for you by yourself, with your potentially one employee that you have. So are you trying to actively get into more restaurants, or?
I would love to be in more local spots. I've had a wonderful, amazing chef from New Orleans want my stuff. And I mean, the whole third greenhouse worth of stuff. And that's remarkable. And that might be where it ends up. But being local is what's most important to me. I'm from the Covington area, and we had those same vibes, and same with New Orleans. Just being local is so important, and thriving within your own culture. So I definitely want to be in more local restaurants here.
Awesome.
That's a goal.
Yeah. Well, look, this was a fun conversation. And look, we're at 45 minutes.
Yay!
You didn't think we'd make it, but we're here. And look, and there was a lot to talk about. Of course, a lot of it was Taco Sisters.
Sponsor us.
Yeah, that'd be great. I don't mind getting a bandito a week or whatever that looks like. We can work on the details later.
We'll take selfies.
All right. So but this was a great conversation. I learned a decent amount about hydroponic farming, and I know a little bit more now about how this process works with auto dosers and these underground barrels and wells and recycling water and nutrient dense water. Like, this is all fascinating stuff. Now it's like, I'm going to dig into it a little bit more. I'm not going to start a company by any means of hydroponics.
You need to come see the farm.
I do want to go check it out. That, I think, because I geek out over technology, and I think this sounds like it has a lot of technology built into it.
Absolutely.
So I'm down to check it out. But Camille Schuneman?
Yes.
All right.
Look at all that growth here today.
I know. All the growth. Wow. All the puns.
Yeah.
Okay. Camille, it was great to have you on, and I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend, and Happy New Year.
You as well. Thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, all right. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And if you don't feel like you can watch a whole full video, because if you're just catching this at the end, we will have the audio format up later. But we like the video version because you can see us talking and all that good stuff, and body language, because that's fun.
I forgot we were videoing.
Yeah, see, the whole time we're videoing. I'm switching between cameras. Anyway, see you guys later, and you'll have a great weekend as well. We'll see you on the next one.